All right, my friends, welcome to episode 430 of Prof and Dev Play Games. My name is Larry, the professor at Prof Plays Games on Blue Sky. Over there is Anthony, the dev at SummerSpeak on Blue Sky. How are you, Anthony?
I am doing okay. We'll be talking about it. I'm 4 sleeps away from Japan.
Oh, it's like Christmas counting. 4 sleeps until Christmas. 4 sleeps until Japan.
4 sleeps. Yep.
Oh, man, that's going to be a 12-hour flight?
11 to get there.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, close.
That's pretty close to, my daughter is so excited to go to Japan one day, and her mother is like, no, it's 12 hours. That's a long flight, blah, blah, blah. But I think one day we'll go. But this week we're talking about your trip. You are headed. You're going to do some cool video game-related stuff and just some general nerd culture along with some other cool stuff. But I wanted to dig into, like, what you are doing. You got some... there's a Final Fantasy 14 cafe thing you're doing. I assume there's some Persona 5 stops. I don't know.
Actually, I looked at that. I can say that there is Sega and Atlas have no official shops or cafes or anything.
That's surprising.
Yep. I'm sure I'll find like their merch around at different places, but no, they don't do anything official. They used to have big arcades there.
Mm-hmm.
But they shuttered those. Shockingly, now reopened under a different company bought them. And
okay.
There used to be like big Sega arcades. Sega and Sammy. But
now they're all in Yakuza.
Exactly. Actually, some of them. But yeah, that was kind of an odd thing to learn of what companies have stores and what companies don't, and which ones, like, there's stores and then there's the cafe stuff. So that's been fun to look around and do. But yeah, so a lot of my trip is not nerdy, but a good chunk is. At times we get flying to Tokyo. I'm gonna be tourists a lot of the doing a lot of the temple stuff and shrines, but one of the first days we're in Tokyo, like you said, going to the Eorzea Cafe.
Which
is the Final Fantasy 14 themed cafe.
Sure.
Another little aside I found, there is a company there called Pacella who makes these theme cafes. In the building where the Final Fantasy 14 themed cafe is, which is on the 2nd floor, the 3rd floor is a Monster Hunter themed cafe, and in the 1st floor is a Dragon Quest themed cafe.
They just got them all in the same building.
Yes, you just go to a different floor.
Well, that's interesting.
And you reserve your seating. So I think ours is at 1 p.m. there, and it's like an hour and a half. I think max. I think you can leave early, and they do like a raffle lottery thing for the seating there as well.
Before you buy your tickets, you were in a lotto?
No. Oh. When you're there, when you're eating, like all the seats have numbers. And they like give away like 3 things during the seating.
Oh, got it. I see.
There's a consistent thing there from these cafes now, looking at it, is that they all love to give collectible coasters. Drink coasters. Okay. So like you have to pay an entry fee. My reservation. It's not like a lot. It's like less than $10 after conversion for each person, and that gets you 1 coaster of your choice and a drink of your choice. Non-alcoholic. They don't serve any alcoholic drinks at this place.
Is there any alcoholic drinks in the game in Final Fantasy 14? Any sort of mechanism about being drunk or anything like that?
No mechanism about being drunk. Yeah. I'm sure. I think there's things that are technically alcoholic, but there's no gameplay.
Got it. Okay. It's not like Witcher 3 where you're like can't see and shit.
Sure. Yeah, no. But then these coaster things are any additional drink you get while there will come with a gotcha coaster.
Of course.
So they give it to you, and it's in a silver rip away bag to see which coaster you get. The ones you get to choose up from when you go in is it's all the job classes. So you get to choose your job class, and you get a coaster that is the key art of that job class.
Is it 1 coaster per reservation or per person? Okay,
per person. So I'll get 4. And my family is like, which ones do you want?
Right, because none of them play it, but you, right?
Yeah. My son's played a little bit of it. He's just doesn't have what he felt like. He doesn't have enough screen time where he feels like he can make it really a worthwhile time to really commit to it. But he liked it. But the other thing you get is a commemorative placemat, which you can then spend 200 yen on the first floor to laminate if you'd like.
Okay.
And cool. And they have a bunch of other little trinkets and stuff that I know of, and like pins and I think CDs, the music CDs and stuff like that, merch. But the menu looks fine. It's all really silly themed Final Fantasy 14 things. So the Crystal Tower drink has like it's like this blue drink that has a like sugar crystal structure kind of coming out of it. Really tall. God,
that's so cool.
There's drinks for every job class. There's
are there Viera in the game, by the way?
Yes. They got added in Shadowbringers.
Okay.
Yes, Viera got added as a playable race. And then in Endwalker, they added male Viera.
There are male Viera?
Now there are.
Okay. Retconning.
In Final Fantasy 14 they are. But they added them. Because they were previously just a locked. Like, if you want to play Viera, you're playing...
You're female, yeah.
Female representation. But then they added male. Because why not?
Yeah, why not? It's all made up anyways.
Yeah, I didn't switch over to... Like, that. Someone asked me, like, are you going to switch to it? Because my character in 14 is Viera.
From the beginning?
I wouldn't. Yeah, from the beginning. I just chose to play Viera.
Okay, can I pause you for a second?
Yeah.
Remember for the 3 seconds when I played Final Fantasy 14?
Yeah.
And I sent you a screenshot?
Yeah.
Was I a Viera too? Do you remember at all?
I don't remember.
I need to go back and look.
Probably not, because unless you already bought the expansions at that point?
It came with several, the one that I bought. I bought like a
It needed to have Shadowbringers. If it didn't have Shadowbringers, you could see Viera, but you couldn't choose to play it.
Okay. I wonder. I'm gonna look while you're talking. But anyway, keep going.
So yes. Yeah, what was it? The cafe, I mean, it's all themed. It's got a bunch of cool stained glass windows that it looks like a tavern from the game, basically. Like the main taverns. I'm really excited. It's gonna be super nerdy and geeky and exactly what I want. Supposedly, if you go there and spend enough money there, a lot, which is not tourists coming there, you can get the coasters as actual like stone coasters.
Oh, so because instead like the cardboard kind of.
Yeah, you get it. Like you spend enough there, come enough times, and you will get. They'll let you. They have a whole collection of like really nice coasters.
Got it. That's really cool.
That's the only theme cafe I'm doing. I was only willing, and I think my wife is only willing to.
Right.
One. No, you're there. You are posting. You're a sexy cat.
I'm a sexy cat. Yep, I was a sexy cat. I said, if you let me play as a sexy cat, I'm going to play as a sexy cat. So it was not a Viera.
And they totally let you play as really sexy anything. That is a key part of Final Fantasy 14. No more theme cafes. That's the only one. But I will be swinging by. So that's Final Fantasy 14 cafe in Akihabara. Also in Akihabara is a Square Enix cafe where you could reserve to just go to a general Square Enix cafe and they theme it around kind of whatever's the big thing. When I'm there, it's not Rebirth anymore. It actually stops a couple days before I get there.
Damn.
Not that I would have. I don't care. I want the 14 more than the generic cafe. Sure. The key thing with the cafe there is they have a little store, Square Enix store.
So you get to stop by there then.
Yeah, it's right at the station, so I can just swing by and see what's there and if there's anything interesting. As we had in Discord, not figures. Will not be carrying figures around.
That's too much to carry. Yeah,
it's just bulky, and
yeah,
as you've seen our itinerary, we're moving around a lot, and it's all by train.
That's awesome. I love traveling by train.
I'm gonna rent a car eventually for the last little chunk of my itinerary. I'll get there. Talking about it, but for the most part, it's all train. So we're gonna walk a lot and ride trains a lot, and I don't want to carry a lot of luggage around for doing that. So figures are out.
At the end. Yeah. Well, at the end, right? Like buying your stuff
Maybe.
and then,
Yeah.
extra bag or whatever. But yeah, carrying
Yeah.
it
Well,
around for
and
2
then
weeks or 3 weeks. Ugh.
yeah, no, and we'll be back in Tokyo at the end of our trip if
Mhm.
there's things we want to go out and purchase. Because at the end, I'm gonna do another. Uh, my wife wants to go back to the neighborhood where she went to school there when she did an exchange,
Yeah,
Waseda
sure. Of course.
University, and we're going to go
Mhm.
there. She's going to get what are called Eki stamps, which are station stamps. It's literally like an actual ink stamp. You can collect stamps from stations in a notebook,
That's cool.
and they each have their unique look. And the Waseda one has like it's actually Takenonobaba is the station, and Waseda's there, and that station stamp has like the Waseda campus as part of its stamp that you can stamp into a journal. So we're gonna collect that and walk around there, but it's like a 20-minute walk through the neighborhoods to northeast Shinjuku, where the Square Enix building actually is. And I'll get a picture next to the Square Enix company sign.
Sure.
But they have another cafe there called Artnia, which weird name, but it's not a theme cafe or anything like that. It's literally like a brunch cafe, and then it has a pretty big Square Enix company store attached to it.
Nice.
And I'll go in there at the end of the trip. And I mean, they'll have a lot more than Final Fantasy. It's like full Square Enix and has a bunch of Dragon Quest stuff.
You have your Forsaken. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Triangle strategy.
Yeah, there you go. I could see at one point the Square Enix cafe in Akihabara had Bravely Default 2 stuff.
Oh, I could see that. Yeah.
Acrylic standees of all the characters. And, because they did an Octopath Traveler 2 theme for the cafe for a bit.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, theme cafes, they're a thing here. And pop-up cafes.
I wish they were a thing here. That'd be so great.
In LA, they are.
Are they?
Like, okay. You can find some pop-up nerdy cafes in LA.
That's cool. Okay.
But it's rare, but it does happen. But like I said, LA is the only place I've heard of it happening.
Yeah, that would make LA and New York is the ones that I would think of.
Yeah, and you don't really hear about it in New York as much.
I think there's less space in New York.
Space, yeah. So there's that big piece. That's actually the day that I'm just going around Akihabara. In general, I'm going to this place called Yellow Submarine. What is it? Which is a hobby tabletop chain in Japan. The Yellow Submarine. But they have their RPG flagship store, and it's specifically in a store that carries tabletop RPGs. And I'm going to pick up a set of 3 books, which is this RPG called Sword World that has never been translated to English, but it's been around, I want to say, since the early 90s, if not late 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And it's effectively Japan's D&D.
And was it something that predated D&D, or was it followed
No,
D&D?
it followed D&D.
Sword World.
It was 1889 when it was first published. And the key thing that this game is the anime Record of Lodoss War is part of this game.
Really?
Like
it bore out of that game? Was born out of that game, I mean?
Yes, or this game kind of was born out of Lodoss War.
Because
there's a whole that like a subculture in Japan called replays, which are novelizations or like novellas of RPG games. Like people write up their games as novellas.
Yeah,
this has been going on for now like 30 plus years.
It's like the birth of the actual play. They just wrote it
down. Yeah, and they call it replays, and Lodoss War was a replay.
Oh, that's fucking cool.
And the island of Lodoss is in Sword World.
Okay.
Like, officially there. Like, and I say all that, and I'm like, why hasn't this ever been translated? And I know it's just radically, like, mechanically is pretty different than D&D.
But that can't be the reason why it wasn't translated. Is there another reason?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't figure out why.
Interesting.
Because other little, like, Japanese tabletop RPGs have been translated, but like there's a fan translation I found on Reddit.
Yeah,
People
sure.
have fan translated the latest one, but
Just like
I'm
Mother 3.
surprised there's been no official.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. It's on its third edition at this point. Yeah. So I'm going to pick up the 3 core books of that. The thing that they're not big, they're manga sized, and each one is 990 yen, which right now is like less than $5 each.
So are you able to like reserve that, or you just know it's going to be there?
It'll just be there.
Oh,
It's
okay.
big enough, and if
Yeah.
it's not there, it will be at other stores.
Oh,
But
sure. Okay.
the best bet would be there. Like it is not the biggest RPG in Japan, tabletop RPG. That goes to weirdly Call of Cthulhu.
Really?
Yep,
Oh,
Call of
interesting.
Cthulhu is the best-selling tabletop RPG in
I
Japan.
would not have expected a Lovecraft
Nope.
kind of thing to be
Nope.
number one. But it's got tentacles, right? So, okay.
There, sure.
Fuck.
Sorry if any Japanese people are listening.
I'm deeply problematic.
But I don't know. So we're gonna go there, and then a lot of my time on that day in Akihabara is gonna be going to a couple retro game shops. There's one called Super Potato, which is kind of like the big one.
Oh my god,
people know
I'm
what
so
it's called.
fucking jealous now. I'm starting to get jealous.
So I'm going to the store. It's called Super Potato.
Super
I think
Potato. I'm going to Google this right now.
Yeah, and I've heard that their prices are not the cheapest because they're so well known. You're not going to go to a place that's just going to be, I think it's like 4 or 5 floors, because every building in Japan is more compact.
It's like up and out.
It's more up than spread out.
Yeah,
So they have different floors for different systems. But it's just going to be walls and aisles of so many games.
I just Googled Super Potato in Akihabara, and it says the first sentence of this article is, if you can whistle the theme songs to Super Mario Bros. And The Legend of Zelda without hesitation, Super Potato should be on your list of must-visit places in Tokyo.
Yeah.
That's great.
So yeah, I'm going to go through there. I have a couple retro games, Japanese stuff that I want to actually pick up. One being the Final Fantasy XII International Zodiac Job System version. That was the basis of the Zodiac Age, but it only came out in Japan back in like 2008, I think. It never came out anywhere else but Japan, and I just want to get a copy of it.
You need to have a copy of that. Do you think that's something... Oh, you can find that here, surely. That's not for sale new anymore, probably, right?
I can't. I can find it on eBay.
Oh, interesting.
Because it's only in Japan. It's rare to actually see in the States. So, being that it was released in Japan, it's a Final Fantasy, I expect that there's going to be a fair amount of them available. That one I want to get on the 3DS. I want to get the Guild 01 collection from level 5. That's the one that had Crimson Shroud on it. So you can get it as a cart. It doesn't have English, but it's all the I think there's 4 games on that collection. Guild 01.
Yeah, because it's I got 2 of them. Liberty.
Yeah. It's Arrow Porter, Crimson Shroud, Liberation Maiden, and Weapon Shop de Omase.
Yep.
And they collected them in Japan. It all got collected on an actual physical cart. And I would like to just have that cart.
Yeah. And that is for the 3DS.
3DS.
But you're not planning to put it in your thing, because I guess they were region.
I can now. Because I custom firmwared my 3DS this week. If you want to talk, we can get to what I've been doing this week.
Yes, okay.
I've been doing something else with my 3DS, getting it prepped.
That's freaking great. Okay, I love this.
So yes, I could play this game.
Perfect.
But
I just bought a couple games for Switch that were Peggy, and I was like, oh yeah, Switch is not region locked, so I'm good.
Yep, yeah. Switch doesn't give a damn. DS is region locked. 3DS is.
That's weird.
Yeah. So I'm looking at my Japanese stuff. I lost a long time ago my copy of Os Tatakai Owindon, the first one. I have the second Owindon, which is the Japanese originals that US would call Elite Beat Agents. But I want the first one. It's all J-rock and J-pop. I love it.
I've heard about that one.
Yeah.
People love that one. People love the Japanese
Yes.
one more than the English
There's
version.
yeah, I would agree. It was weird bringing it. It's a weird game to be in with, and it's a weird game to turn into something for the West to even remotely gravitate to.
Right.
But those are like kind of the Japanese ones that I want. But I'm gonna look around, see if there's anything that's like, oh, that's neat.
Those
Just
are
to
some
have in the collections.
nice things to pick up because even if you have the case, it's not that big, but if it's just the cartridge, it's like super tiny, so easy to
Yeah,
carry
I'll have the
home.
cases, but I have plenty of space for that because I can just slide them in.
Yep,
I'm not
yep,
bringing a
yep.
laptop, so I have a whole laptop section in my bag that I
He's
can
like,
put
sorry,
little thin
not bringing
things
my
into.
laptop. Can't do work. Sorry.
Oh, I'm not doing work. They already know that. I'm like, nope.
Yeah, that's not
Um,
happening.
so I'm gonna get that stuff. Go to Super Potato. There's another store called Trader, and Trader 2, which is all just kind of like used retro stuff. There's Book Off, which you do have in San Diego
Yep.
and some in the West Coast, but Book Off is Japanese. Like this is where they have Book Off and Hard Off are the two there. Um, Hard Off being actual like, do you want guitars and pedals? They're there, but there's also the full on like game consoles, printers, monitors, laptops, cameras. It's like
So the hardware.
physical, like big physical things.
Yeah, sure.
They usually attach to a book off. But book off is still there, and they have great. They'll have a bunch of used video games and stuff I can go through. I mean, that's mainly what I'm doing in Akihabara. That's like our. Is that our second day? That's our third day in Tokyo. The day after we arrive, we're going to the Studio uh, Ghibli Museum,
That's when
which is
you
going
had
to be
the lottery to get
lottery.
into. Yeah.
Yep, how to get a lottery. We have it at the end of the day that we'll get in, and I have no clue what to expect out of that. Kind of leaving myself a little surprised there of being like, what is actually going to be at the museum? But I'm sure it will be a lot of fun and very cool. So that's kind of a little west of Tokyo. It's like a 40-minute train ride outside the main from where we are
Mm-hmm.
to it. So it'll be nice to get a little bit out of the just part of the city. The city's huge; it goes on forever.
Oh yeah.
So I think we're still technically in Tokyo. We're just kind of on the outskirts, more on the outskirts of Tokyo at that point. But there's a really nice park there and wander around. So that's cool. What is that? And then our last day in Tokyo, nerdy things we're doing. We're going to this thing called Small Worlds, and it's basically like miniature dioramas of random things. And one of the big dioramas that they've built, and by big I mean they're like 30 by 40-foot miniature dioramas, like big things. One of which is Sailor Moon. So it's a bunch of the Sailor Moon, like the neighborhood that Sailor Moon's all set in, which is an actual neighborhood in Tokyo, and little miniatures of the figures all around. Evangelion, they have a thing for it there. A few other miscellaneous things. It seems like a fun little thing you can do. And I think this is where they can take a 3D picture of you, and they'll print you 3D print you a miniature of yourself.
Of yourself? Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. We're doing that. We're going to go to the Gundam base station, where they sell a bunch of plastic Gundam kits, but they have a life-size Gundam out in front of it that, I mean, in life-size, it's like 30, 40 feet tall.
Wow.
That lights up and does like different presentations at different times during the day. It doesn't really move that much. The one that was big that they built in south of Tokyo was in Yokohama. Like it actually had like a big like launch bay around it, and it would move out, like walk out from its launch bay and do this whole giant presentation. They closed it down in March. It was only temporary. I don't know why they build something like that and only have it be temporary.
Yeah, wow, that seems like a lot of effort.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they had delayed shutting it down for, I think, a year and a half because of the pandemic. They just kept it going because people couldn't come and see it. But it finally shut down at the end of March. I was like, oh, well, I don't get to see that. So, but it's Japan, so there's not just one full-size Gundam. There's another.
Oh, of course. I think
So that's the one I get to see.
my daughter's friend went to Japan recently, and then I think they took pictures in front of what you're talking about, the Gundam, because they showed it to us, and I was like, okay, yeah, I don't know what this is. They're very excited about it, and it matches up with exactly what you were just describing. So,
So, yep. With that stuff, we're doing like, have you heard of Team Labs?
I don't
They're an
think I have.
artist group. They do big installations. And we're doing that's Team Labs Planets. There's two of them in Tokyo, and we're doing Planets on our first chunk in Tokyo, and then we're doing Team Lab Borderless on the other end of our trip. And they're basically like full immersive art installation type stuff. I you have to look at. I would say anyone just go look at pictures of like Team Labs and Team Lab Borderless or videos, and you'll just be like, "What in the world?" Just full interactive art exhibit, using a lot of lights and mirrors and everything, so that it really messes with your perception of how big spaces are, and so that should be pretty exciting. That's most of like our nerdy in Tokyo. Then we go to Kyoto, and honestly, Kyoto is going to be a lot more less. It's going to be less nerdy and more like,
Japanese culture, perhaps.
yeah, love shrines. I mean, Kyoto has tons of shrines, so we're going to do a bunch of that. And there's like one retro game store I want to go to there. Well, actually, there's two. And one day we're going to do some shopping, and it's right in the same place that everyone wants to do some shopping. So I'll go check that out and just see different stuff that's there. But we're doing a boat, like river tour in like a traditional flat bottom Japanese boat.
Oh, that's very cool.
Going about taking a train a bit out of Kyoto, and then you take this boat ride back into Kyoto. It's like takes like an hour and a half or so. Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. A lot of experience. We're just really focused on just doing things and
Yep.
seeing things and going places and eating good food. But that, like, Kyoto is going to be very traditional in that way in culture. Actually, the next chunk is, because then we're going to Hiroshima with a stop at Himeji Castle, which is like the stereotypical, like, big Japanese castle.
Sure.
And we'll look around there, get off the Shinkansen, look around that, and get on the bullet train and continue to Hiroshima. And the Hiroshima's, we thought about, I think, taking our kids there. It's just important.
Yes. That's...
Historically, and what the city is today and what it has. And they have a big museum called the Peace Museum there, and we're going to go to that. My wife says that it's pretty profound. It's not supposedly the museum at Nagasaki is pretty disturbing, like shockingly. Like here's the effects of the atomic bomb.
Yeah.
The Hiroshima Peace Museum is less that and more like this is what happened. As she said, it's not really sugar coated in the like in the right or wrong of using the bomb at all. That's not what it's going for. It's going like this is the effects of the atomic bomb, and this is the devastation it causes, and
Right.
the whole thing is being mostly about dearmament of nuclear weapons is their message of being like these aren't good. Which
That
I
would
think
be the
most
place
of
to
us
have
are
that
like,
message.
yeah. Yeah. So I feel like that day is going to be a little bit mellow, raw, and
Yep.
but I do want my kids to kind of like, if we're there, I think it's important to see this. What else are we doing in Hiroshima? Then the next day we're going to Miyajima, which is an island off of Hiroshima. Have you ever seen the picture of like do you know what Torii Gate is? It's like
Yeah.
So the floating Torii Gate in the water. It's like very
I have.
stereotypical.
Yep.
That's what we're going to see.
Very
It's
cool.
an island off of it. It's just off an island off of Hiroshima. So I'm gonna go do that and day ferry over and kind of walk around that whole area. And again, like there's nerdy stuff in Tokyo, then it becomes less nerdy as we go on.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna go all the way back up to the west of Tokyo into the mountains, and we're gonna walk.
Gonna do some hiking.
Yeah, hiking on it's called the Nakasindo Trail, which is or at least we're gonna do like a 4-hour chunk of it. And what this Nakusundo Trail is when there was the unification of Japan. The emperor at the time, I can't remember which emperor it was, made all the lords go from Kyoto to Edo, which is now Tokyo, follow this path that went up through the mountains and back to Tokyo, as opposed to going by the coast. As a show, like they need to, in weirdly a smart way of those lords had to spend their resources to survive the mountain trek, so they couldn't threaten the shogun.
Interesting.
It's an interesting kind of thing, but this became the main postal route and the main trade route between Kyoto and Tokyo, and we're going to walk a part of it. Still exists. Should be amazingly gorgeous views, and we're going to do that. And then that's whenever we finish there, train back to the main town where we start. I rent a car and drive further into the mountains of very rural Japan, where we're going to go to an onsen and just kind of get pretty far outside the city, into the countryside, and we'll spend a couple days in various towns in the countryside, and then end on the western shore at Kanazawa, spend a night there, and then come back to Tokyo via the bullet train again.
Damn, that is
it's a trip.
Excellently long trip to Japan, making it worth it.
3 weeks.
Very cool.
And I think like we thought like, oh, do we need to do this in 2? And we're like, nah, this is
we're going. Let's
we're going, and we're like, let's work backwards from the place that because the reason why we're going now and really to Japan is there's a house that is it's an Airbnb that's not done through Airbnb, basically. Japan doesn't have a lot of great Airbnbs in general, but these people, weirdly, it's a Japanese Canadian YouTuber. She's lived in Japan forever and her and another foreigner have started buying properties in different parts of Japan, and they fix up these houses. They only have 2, and they rent them out for
I think
travelers.
You had mentioned that in the previous podcast, yeah.
Probably, and that's why we can't. It's like we've been looking and waiting for this to come up, and it just happened to be available for 3 nights at the end of May, and we're like, let's book it. If we can't go, we're only out 10% of the entire fee, which in yen after conversion was like $60. We're like, fine. If we don't go, we're out $60. Okay, yeah, we'll take it. We got it, and then we worked back from there. Like, here's all the things we might want to do. How long will that take? 3 weeks. 3 weeks is what it would take. And we nixed like a huge amount of stuff that we're not going to do. Like, I'd love to go north from Tokyo and go to like Sendai and Hokkaido and everything up there. But there's so much to do, and we had to just kind of make a choice. And it's my kid's first time really being there, and yeah. I've never seen Kyoto or Hiroshima. My wife has seen. She's seen the main cities that we're going to. She has not seen the thing that excites her the most is the hiking, the trail that we're doing, and then going up into the rural Alps and Kanazawa, because she's never explored that area when she was there. So she needed something to be really excited about, and that really excited her. So, but I think if we do go back, which it's more of when we go back, because I'm sure we'll go back again. We'll be kids or no kids. We'll be going into like North Japan or pretty South Japan, Fukuoka, Okinawa, stuff like that. Just stuff that she never saw. But it's gonna be a trip, and
I'm really excited for you. This sounds really, really cool.
I probably make you. If you're jealous about some of the nerdy things I'm going to do, once you see the pictures, I'm sure you'll be like, "Oh my god!"
My daughter's just going to look at those pictures and be so excited. She's so excited that you're going. For a movie night on Friday, she wanted to see a very specific request, which was a documentary about Japan that involves cats. So I found one, and we watched it. And it was really cool. But she's just constantly talks about going to Japan.
We are going to a bookstore in Jumbocho neighborhood that is a cat, not a cat bookstore, and as there are cats around. The entire bookstore, everything in the bookstore is books about cats or trinkets about cats.
I'm 99% certain that was in this video
I'm
because
sure it was.
they're like, this is a bookstore that used to have, the guy was like, we used to sell regular books, but people read less, so we decided to go all in on cat books.
Yes. Yep. We're going.
I'm sure it's the same one.
Yeah. I didn't even get to like the back half. When we come back to Tokyo, we're going to be near Harajuku and Shibuya. Both very Harajuku's like whenever 20 years ago was the like young, trendy, hip neighborhood. Very counterculture in some ways. Like that's where you would see a lot of like bands would set up at the station and play. You would see people in cosplay or just like crazy costumes, or I wouldn't even call them costumes. They're just in crazy clothing, just kind of around the station, like showing off. It seems like it's become a little bit more commercial now. There's an IKEA there.
Oh, okay. Maybe not counterculture anymore.
Not as much.
Yeah.
But we still want to go through it. It has some really cool stuff. It's also the land that like there's like a big Sanrio store, which I needed to actually show you. You need to Google. This is a real Hello Kitty character. So Google Sanrio big challenges.
Sanrio big challenges. Big challenges. Hello Kitty fandom. Let's see here. Big challenges.
This is big challenges.
Is a crocodilian character from Sanrio. He's simply described as a unique alligator with a goofy face who always seemed to be smiling. Despite being created in 1978, he would not appear. Blah blah blah.
Yep.
I'm just seeing.
Yeah.
This
is the best character ever.
Drawn by.
It's an alligator called Big Challenges.
Big challenge.
I am determined to find something of Big Challenges while I'm there.
Japanese name Bigu Charenji.
Yep.
Gender probably male. Interesting. That's a very interesting design.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird Sanrio Hello Kitty characters I'm finding out now. I don't even understand, but it's kind of crazy. But I'll be seeing a lot of those. But that's Harajuku. Then Shibuya is this place called Parco, which is like a big mall, newer one, and that's where the Nintendo store is. Go into that.
Oh,
the official store there. We'll see what we find there. But as I found out, on that same floor is the official Capcom store.
Okay.
And the official Koei Tecmo store. All on the same floor of this mall.
That's very cool. All kinds.
Oh, and a big like the main Tokyo Pokemon Center is there as well, which I don't care as much about my kids. I was like, "Do you care?" And they're like, "Nah, not really anymore." So
interesting.
So that's going to be a pretty freaking nerdy place. Yeah, but there's and it's not a cat that's the Capcom store. There's a Capcom cafe in another neighborhood, as I found out. But yeah, they just sell merch from their games there at those ones, and then there's the Nintendo place, which I have to imagine is similar to the New York store. I have to, but I could be wrong.
I would assume it has different stuff, but the same kind of like idea, right?
Yeah.
I think you had mentioned. No, I think you've never been to New York.
Nope.
So then you've never been to that store. Yeah. Okay.
Nope.
Yeah, I've been there twice, and it's it is very cool. And they have things there that you don't see in stores, not because they're special stuff, although they do have like New York Nintendo branded stuff. Apparel, which is what I'm wearing right now, actually. But more so like things that you can't find anymore, like Amiibo, for example, that have been sold out, are just there, So it's very.
Yeah, I feel like I'm looking at pictures. It has like some of the same statues. It has Link statues.
Yeah.
Splatoon. Did the Nintendo New York have Splatoon statues?
Not that I remember seeing.
I wouldn't be surprised if Splatoon gets more featured in the Tokyo store, because Splatoon is much more popular in Japan, really popular.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, we're gonna go there, and I'll be very curious. What I'll see there, and I'm sure I'll buy a couple little trinkets, but I don't want to get too much.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, I mean, when we were in New York, we brought an extra bag specifically for the Nintendo store because I was so excited to take my daughter there. And it was useful because, boy, we filled it up. We definitely did. And that's totally cool. That's what we went there for. But we brought the extra bag for that specific reason. And, only had to carry it around that one day and then brought it back to the hotel.
Yeah. On the 6th floor of Shibuya Parko, you can find the Nintendo store, the Capcom store, a Digimon store, a Shonen Jump shop.
Interesting.
And a Shibuya exclusive Pokemon Center with life-size Mewtwo guarding the entrance.
That's cool.
So that will be a very nerdy end to the trip in some ways. I think that's the day before we leave.
I'm very excited to hear how that goes for you.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll post pictures and everything.
Yeah. Jelly.
But yeah, that's what I get to be doing for the next 3 weeks.
That's exciting, man. I can't wait for you to come back and to hear the recap of the trip. As Anthony's going to be gone for a couple weeks, you have a couple guest hosts. Next Sunday is going to be Bill with me. Bill hasn't been on for a couple years, actually, so that'll be fun. And then the week after that, I have like the super special surprise. My daughter is on with me. We recorded the episode today talking about Zelda. She was like, "Daddy, can I podcast with you? How about Prof and kid play games?" Oh my gosh. And then she wanted to listen to like our like a couple back episodes, and I was like, "Man, I say fucking every single episode, so that's not happening. I'm sorry."
You're like, not yet.
Not yet. Maybe one day. But she was very excited.
That's cool.
So before we pivot into what we've been playing, I want to share some breaking news that came out at 9:00 tonight. You may have seen already.
No.
This is from PlayStation. Helldivers fans, we've heard your feedback. The May 6th update, which would have required Steam and PlayStation Network account linking, will not be moving forward. So that's dead.
Yeah. Good.
That
Sony. Just kill that.
And you're hurting yourself badly.
Not in a way. This is one of those things where I'm like, it's the fact that they, as far as I can tell, until that announcement they were going to start requiring it, they never broadcast that out earlier. Of being like, because the whole thought was like, it wasn't required because of the server issues and everything. But I'm like, if this was ever going to be a requirement, you need to let that people know up front that this was going to be a requirement.
Yeah, it was.
And they can make the choice on if they want to do it or not.
It was in every single trailer, and it's on the Steam page, but it's not like, hey, by the way, remember this is going to be a thing. It was just there, So
just like a little chunk of text,
just a piece of text, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, this is like the most amazing game for them. This is like the moving forward on their PC strategy, and then they sort of shoot themselves in the fucking foot. That this review bombing the negative reviews have been pretty crazy recently. So this is a good move on PlayStation. It's not gonna, the benefit of doing that is outweighed by the negativity that's been going on.
Yeah.
Man. So good on you.
And
Sony.
Definitely a weird thing of them that they were selling it in regions. They couldn't link.
That's the worst part.
Why would that? Don't do that.
Well, and Steam has been refunding with this, people with 100 hours, like, now you can't play this anymore. We'll refund you, and Sony's just like, there goes all the money we've been making. Fuck this. We'll just take it back. We won't do this. What just a self-inflicted wound.
Yeah.
It just shows.
And it's not Arrowhead either.
No, Arrowhead's like, we don't have any say over this.
Yeah.
When I think
Sony's our publisher, this is what they're requiring.
Well, and it's growing pains for Sony pushing into PC because the news came out that Helldivers 2 is their 7th most lucrative property now across all properties. Take away PC, and it's not even in the top 30. They're just selling so much on Steam. So yeah, good to see that.
Yeah, so I'm glad that they just decided to say whichever marketing person forced this through, told them, no, we're not doing it actually.
Yeah, no, this is not.
Because it totally just smelled like some executive somewhere is like, no, we have to do this because we need the user data.
That's right. Let's cash in on that sweet data.
We need that, and they just bullied it through, and now people are like, no.
Yep.
We're not doing it. Go away. So that's great.
Very cool. So let's move to what you have been playing. Or what you've been doing with your DS.
I installed custom firmware on my DS.
Okay.
which there's a whole guide to do it. With the key part being is like, oh, if I do this, my 3DS is region free now.
Right.
The other cool thing that I can do now, which I've done, is I've taken all my carts, DS and 3DS, and dumped them onto an SD card. And now I
Oh,
can play the games without needing the carts in.
so they're all just on one SD card?
Yeah, they're just on my SD card.
Damn. Okay.
There's a lot more stuff you could do if you really want to get into piracy,
Mm-hmm.
deep into piracy land that you can do with it. But
Yeah, sure.
I legitimately just copying my carts
Yeah.
onto SD.
You have to do like one at a time. Put it in your 3DS.
Yeah,
and do
put it
okay.
in. Yeah, there's like a little root operating system. I think they call it God mode OS that you boot into, and then you can just put your card in and just be like, I want to copy the cart image onto the SD card, and it installs it as like just an app on the DS or the 3DS. So it's just the normal icon. It's like as if you downloaded it from
Sure.
the eShop. And why I chose to do this now, I'm like, the eShop's gone at this point.
Yeah.
The servers are all shut down. That's an interesting thing. There's a homebrew thing you can install called Pretendo that keeps functionality of all the multiplayer games.
That's right. I heard about that.
Yeah. So that exists. I did that.
It's such an interesting I don't know, like it's the Rubicon of emulation where once it was no longer available, like it just feels it's the only way to keep that preservation going, even though I think if it, like what happened to Yuzu, like Switch is still commercially available. That's dumb.
That's the problem.
Yeah, exactly. But this is not, 3DS
no, there's nothing
done. Yeah.
Nothing available that when I talk about the piracy thing here, there's a thing called H Shop you can install. And you can effectively just download any 3DS game you want.
Interesting.
It's the entire library. You can just download it and install any game. And at this point, that's a very gray area to me because you cannot legally buy any of these games anymore. Like you can only buy these games secondhand now. There's
still 3DS games that you can buy new from Amazon and such, right? But I'm sure that stock is dwindling.
I don't know if those are sold by Nintendo.
Yeah, that's probably true.
At this point, they're all just in
third-party
the
sellers
ecosystem.
Or whatever.
They're just third party. They're just in whatever exists. It's nothing new is being made. Nintendo is done doing their part. Like I don't think you can buy like from. Definitely, I doubt you're buying 3DS stuff from Amazon anymore, just because of Nintendo and Amazon's lovely relationship.
Yeah, you're not buying it from Nintendo; you're buying it from a third party.
Yeah, at this point, I'm just like, is this? There's a gray area of me where I'm like, it moves into that stage of being like, well, I like having physical things. I'll get physical things, but this is just a reseller market now. More than anything. Where does that put the issues of piracy or anything like that? To my mind, it puts it in a gray area. It always has. So like me, like even I'll emulate like PS1 games, and I'm like, Sony stopped selling these and making these 20 years ago. So
right, yeah, exactly,
or a little less than actually 20 years ago. And so you're just like, they just. Unless you're going to go pay a reseller $150 for Xenogears, there's no other way to play it. Have fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like the preservation aspect. I like the thing with the emulation and stuff with 3DS. Even if I wanted to emulate like 3DS on like the Steam Deck, maybe this is a great thing about Nintendo and the hardware that they chose to make with the DS and the 3DS. Nothing does emulation on these systems good. The two-screen really makes a pain in the ass.
It does. Yeah, I got a DS cart for my Steam Deck, and it's nice to have from a game preservation standpoint. Like I have access to, I want to check out Revenant Wings when I finish Final Fantasy 12 for a night. I don't want to play it like the whole fucking game, so it's perfect for that. But it's not an optimal way to play that game.
No, there's not. Everything you consistently hear online is everyone's just like, yeah, you can emulate DS and 3DS stuff, but the best way to play it is just on the hardware, the
Yep.
original hardware.
Right.
It still is. Because even their screens, the touch screen is on a DS and 3DS is different than like your touch screen on a Steam Deck.
Yeah.
The way the pen works, it's just a different type of touch screen. Things just don't translate as well. It's kind of funny. The neat thing I can do with the 3DS is I can do GBA games on it now as well.
Because you've pulled those cards, or you have those ROMs?
I'll just have the ROMs of some
Yeah.
GBA games. I have
That's
the cards in front of me. I just
Yeah.
got the ROMs, but then you can run a program and create a certain 3DS file type and install it like it would have come from the virtual console on the 3DS.
That's interesting.
And then it just boots the 3DS natively to run like a GBA.
You're reminding me about the process I'm about to embark on with this second Wii U that I bought.
It's a lot like that, I think.
We'll see.
You don't
if
have
I
to
can get
solder
it
anything.
Thank God, no. It's just some software stuff, but
it's just follow the software instructions.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, hopefully don't brick it. But
yeah, there's two pieces.
Great.
Yeah, so yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, it was cool. I'm glad I've done it. It's neat to have this just system just open and available, and I can basically play whatever I want to on it now. So
and it's great that you can just bring that one little thing to Japan instead of all the carts and everything. That's cool. Have you played anything this week besides working on that project? You just getting ready for Japan?
I played, weirdly, some Persona 5 Royal on Steam.
Oh,
Steam
yeah,
Deck.
sure.
Not a ton. This is the stupidest reason I'm doing it, because I'm collecting the cards.
Oh, got it.
And I need to have so many hours in the game to get the cards.
Because you can get. Do all games have 6 cards total or 12 cards total?
No, it's half of whatever.
Oh, got it. Okay,
total.
I see.
Like you'll always get a free number of drops equal to half minus 1 potentially of total, and it's up to the developer can set how many they want.
Sure.
But more in Persona do I have? I have 2 more drops remaining, and they have 11 cards. So half rounded up, I should say.
I didn't really understand how that system worked until Final Fantasy 12. And I was like, I got 6 cards, I can't get any more. So I went to the market and bought the extra 6 and made my badge. And I was like, oh, that's how this works. And I was like, wait, I can do it again?
Yeah.
Oh, I can do it again?
Yeah.
And again? I'm trying to get... Yeah, I got to do it one more time so I can get to Ash. I think she's the 6th. She's the 6th one.
The thing is, and it's actually a reasonable system overall, because developers get a fraction of those sales.
Oh, do they? I didn't realize that.
It's not a lot. It's not a lot. It's real tiny, but developers do get a little bit of revenue for card sales.
That's cool. I see. Okay. So I've always been on the selling side where I just sell all the cards I have because I'm like, what the fuck do you do with these things? But now I understand.
Actually, you make badges.
Yeah, you make badges. I made a badge for the first time for fucking Final Fantasy 12 because I'm like, I'm spending 9 million hours in this game. I'm going to make a badge for it.
Yeah. I only have Vaughn as my badge. I have not.
I thought you had Fran.
No.
Okay.
I have not rebought more stuff for it. No, you have Fran.
Oh, is that where I'm at right now? Fran?
Yes. You have Fran.
I knew someone had Fran. I guess it's me.
It's you.
That's funny.
But they have definitely made it easy to just click one button now to be like, just buy the cards, the remaining cards.
Yes, I appreciate that very much.
So, I've dabbled in Persona 5. I'm like the first couple hours in. Still the introduction of introducing to characters, and it does run really well on the Steam Deck though.
I've put it in and out of my cart, and I was like, I just bought it on fucking Switch. Don't do this again. I already own it twice. Stop.
I'm like, yeah, I now own it again because it was on sale. I was like, sure, I'll pull the trigger.
I feel like it's okay because you've beaten the game several times. I'm yet to beat it the first time, so I'm just going to hold my fucking horses. Just like with Hades, I almost bought it again for Steam because it's on like pretty good sale right now. I was like, I own this twice. Stop. But it'd be so nice on that Steam Deck. But it's great on the Switch, so just leave it alone.
Yeah.
So,
But it doesn't do 60 FPS on the Switch.
Oh fuck, Anthony, you
That's
just
why the Steam Deck. I was like, oh, I can run this
fuck,
at 60 or 45
Anthony.
or 60, whatever I want to do it.
Anthony, I'm gonna buy it
What?
on Steam just for that
I
reason.
mean, that's why I bought it.
Ah, that's going to happen tonight. Then, I mean, what a fucking great game. I
Yeah,
feel like the Hades 2 is gonna hit early access this month, probably the way they were talking. But I guess we'll see
yeah,
because they
yeah.
wound down the early.
Yeah, they said it
access
would be very, very.
very soon after. Yeah,
Yeah, I assume it's going to be within a month, probably.
yeah, that's what I felt like too. So this week I played two things. I got a chance to play Manor Lords. I played it for an hour. I streamed it, so the Prof and Dev Play Games at Prof and Dev Play Games on YouTube. It's up there. I had a good time. It was what I wanted it to be in terms of like building up this medieval city. It felt really easy to get into, but then I had a hard time assigning people to build things
Hmm.
intermittently. Like I had no problem assigning people and unassigning them to building things early on, and then I was trying to build it's like a sawmill or something to get more resources, and that I could not. No matter how many people I unassigned from other stuff, they would just not go to that place to build it. So it just sat there, and I just could. 20 minutes on stream basically. Like I don't know how to do this. And it may be I'm just dumb. That's probably it. Or it may be just like, it's an early access thing. So maybe it's just not working. But other than that issue, it was pretty easy to get into. There's a lot of depth below that surface, but I had a good time just checking it out. So spent a little bit of time with that. And then I spent most of my time playing Final Fantasy 12.
Okay.
And we're getting close to the end of the RPG backlog episode chunking. I'm in the penultimate chunk in Pharos, but the two before that there was the City of Arcades.
Yep.
Which the whole sequence I honestly is probably my least favorite of the game.
Oh yeah.
And then the one after that, though, where you're going through the Feywood and the illusion puzzle, moving into Geruvagan or Giruvegan. Yeah, Giruvegan. That whole section has been my favorite of the game.
Oh.
And I don't know. I know we talked last time about how towards the end, Matsuno came off, and people have criticism of the end. I don't know if that means Pharos. I don't know if that means Giruvegan.
No, it's basically Arcades and after.
Okay, because Arcades sucked.
Yeah, and there's definitely feels like to me that there's a clear that area didn't get as much love as other areas in the game.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
we're just getting this out because there's like even points where there's like clearly what I would expect voice acting and there's not.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's a weird like thing where I'm like budget and stuff and time I think caught up to this game at this point when they were working on this because things don't have to go in order that they're working on.
Yeah, sure.
Something happened here that really screwed with Arcades, and it's just get through it and then you move on. But I think story wise, the story kind of goes in a. People after this feel like the game ends. It goes pretty quick to the end, and you've now finished the Great Crystal and know like about Vana and
the Occultia or whatever they're called.
And that is sometimes people are like feel like that reveal is done too fast. And it shifts kind of the story. And I'm like, maybe I get it. And this is all places where Matsuno could have been left, and they were just finishing out the game, basically.
The voice acting is interesting because that struck me last night and the night before, where like Vaughn and the Baltier or whatever are running out and they're talking to each other, and I'm like, this is just text. This is usually voice acted. What's happening here?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they ran out of time. Something happened. That is my clearest sign that something with that whole segment just wasn't done, or it was added late, came in late. I don't know.
Yeah.
12 had at the time when it came out, had the record for longest in development game.
Right. So,
yeah. I think there was a portion of Square just wanting to get the game out as well.
Well, and there's I've heard that, and we've talked about that, and I'm seeing some signs of that, obviously. But I still, in my head, I'm comparing it to 15, where the back half was like wildly different than the front half, and like
Yeah.
detrimentally so. Whereas I don't feel like Arcades sucked, but it didn't break the experience for me. I got through it, and now I'm in went through the Giduvegan and the Feywood, and I thought that was really cool. We'll see how I feel about Pharos. I'd finished the first part of the first ascent.
Pharos
So
is just big.
it
That's
is
the thing with it. It's like
seems very big.
it's a big dungeon.
Yeah.
Which is great. I mean, this game hasn't had like that. This is its huge dungeon.
It's interesting for it to be at the end. Near the end. I guess Bahamut is next, or is the end of the airship or whatever. So yeah, again, criticisms I have of it, but mainly around story being sparse, and there could be more of it and less grindiness. But overall, I think I'm mostly enjoying the experience. I'm certainly glad that I played it. I am just at the point now where I want to play something else, and I'm looking forward to this being done so I can do that. But that kind of sucks because I'm leaving quite a bit on the table. There's a lot of hunts that I didn't do, and there's a lot of like crafting. I've done almost nothing,
Oh yeah.
et cetera. So, I know there are I don't know what they're called, the master weapons or the final weapons or whatever they are. I don't have any of those. I'm probably not going to have any of those. I don't feel like I need those to get through the end game.
No,
the
you need
story.
those to do the optional stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of the weird thing. It's not for the main game. It is for, hey, I want to go fight Ultima.
Yeah.
Um,
Is that the 8-hour fight?
Like, no, or Ultima is like just is at the top of the Great Crystal. It's an Esper. It's like
got it.
the Esper. At the top of the Great Crystal, and it's like level 90 fight.
Wow.
And, Yzmet is like the 8-hour fight, 8 to 12-hour fight. That again, you need to be really high level for, and this game offers that level of optional content if you really want to go for it. The Gilgamesh fight is fun. I think you should be roughly about the level to do Gilgamesh if you want to do that one.
I'm probably going to do a couple more hunts before, because I think after Pharos I can do some more side stuff before I go into Bahamut.
Oh yeah.
So I think I will do that, only because I did the Gill Snapper. It just happened to be in my queue or whatever. I could go there. So I went into the Giza Plains and waited until I triggered the wet season or whatever, and then found the quest giver, and then went to find Gill Snapper. And that's the one where you're basically pushing over 6 trees to form a bridge.
Yep.
I loved that. I thought it was really interesting. Different way of puzzle solving in the game. The fight wasn't that. The fight was just but the getting there was really cool. And then you had to get to where the Gill Snapper spawns when it's super rainy, like thundering and fucking really going at it. And the guy who speaks up in the clan hall like ends up meeting you there or whatever. So all that was cool. The fight was it was fine, but everything else was cool. So I think there's a lot of variety I'm assuming in a number of the hunts, and that's cool. I would love to experience more of that, but
there's a lot of weird hunts. The hunts definitely they took some liberties with and really pushing forward. I think another one that can be fun is I think it's called Dark Rumor is the hunt. It's a Mont Blanc hunt. That's a fun one. Has some neat quirks to it. Has some story to it, which is great. Yeah. Where I've stopped playing is I am through Pharos.
okay.
I could go to Bahamut and finish the game right now. I'm like level 56 or so. I wouldn't have any issues. I actually had not that anything is like stomping you. How are you handling all the status effects?
With my gambits and with my items.
But how are you doing things like sap and disease and stuff that you don't have gambits to?
Did you say sap?
Sap, I think you can get rid of with regen.
With regen, yeah, I have a gambit for regen. And then for disease is
serums.
Well, and I only had one serum, so I used the serum, and then I was like, well, fuck. But then Redis is with me right now, and he can dispel disease or else he had serums. It was one of the two.
No, he used the serums. Sorry. No, you need a very specific. He doesn't. Cleanse is the spell you need.
Oh yeah, and I don't have cleanse. I
Um,
went looking for it. I thought. I don't think I have it. So some of
I'm just
them.
wondering some of the status effects. I'm like, how are you handling how much this game starts throwing at you in that regard?
I mean, fairly well because I'm either using the spells I have to dispel them. I'm using remedy. I'm using whatever item. Some of the ones, like again with serum, I only had a couple things, and so I've only faced it a couple times, and I got rid of it. Or I think Fran had disease on her, and I just didn't see what it was doing negatively. Like it took me a while to get it off, but it didn't. I don't know what it was doing. It's probably killing her somehow. But
They can
um,
never be healed. They're as they take
ah,
damage, your max HP is reduced by the amount of damage taken.
oh,
So
okay.
they will eventually have 1 HP.
Oh yeah, that happened. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, several people that were down to 1 HP. So I don't know how I cleared it then, but I did.
Crystal. You have to go to a save crystal.
Oh, that's
If
why.
you don't.
Yeah, I went to. Yeah, exactly. That's what happened. I went to a save crystal. Except for Fran. You know how I was saying I needed the spell
Yeah.
because she just had reflect on her and she couldn't get it off, and she would reflect all the healing. I was like, okay, so I got to keep her on my party for now. And then I got the spell, and I was like, okay, I can't use the spellga. I guess I need to use the spell. Went and got the spell, put it on her. Still working, still doing it. I was like, you know what? I'm going to look at her equipment and see if anything is giving her reflect. And she was wearing a ruby ring. And I was like, okay, you dumbass.
Yeah.
She's been
Yeah.
like this for fucking 2 hours. I've been having her out of my party because I couldn't heal her just because I put a ruby ring on her. Ugh.
Well, that's
I
cool. You got all the gambits setting up to take care. Because I mean, that's where this game is you get to this point where it's just like there's so many status effects,
and that's
and
what's yeah, that's what's
you have to manage it.
it's what's starting to fill out my gambits. Because I ended up using finally once I got through Guru Vega. No, yeah, I think so. Right around there, I used the license point cheat and just filled up my entire board. So I have a bunch of gambits. And it was also at the point where I needed to start using them because I've been using probably like 5 or 6 per character. A couple of them like only 2 or 3. And doing fine until now, where I have to, dispel things and use regen and whatever else. So I'm actually using a lot more with, especially my healers.
Oh yeah, and you didn't have the green spells. Now you do.
No, no, I was like, I have, fuck, oil. I have what's the one I decoy. And I was like,
Decoy,
okay, I
bubble.
can
Do you have
use
bubble
it.
yet?
I don't. I do not have bubble.
Oh, bubble's really good.
Bubble's really important because guess what? In Guru Vegan, I think I picked up a bubble belt and I put it on one of my healers, and I was like, "Oh my god, your HP just doubled."
Yeah, you put
Yeah.
that on your tank that you decoy.
Uh
It's
huh.
real good.
I can see that, but I don't
You
know. Do you know
pretty
off
much
the top of
have
your head?
to.
Yeah, off the top of your head, where do I get bubble? Oh no, it's the fucking
It's a
hunts.
green. It's
The
a
hunt.
green. You just need to get
Yeah,
high enough with the clan rating so that you
yeah.
can buy it.
I need to do a few
I
more
don't.
hunts to get that.
I don't think you need to be that high to get
No,
bubble.
you're right. Because I looked at the guide and it was like I think 16 hunts or something like that, or I don't know. I've
Yeah,
done.
it's your clan. It's your clan rating.
Yeah.
However that goes up. Like,
Yep. I've done 12
um,
hunts or so, so I think I probably just need to do a few more to get it. But yeah, using the bubble belt, I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now.
bubble
My only
belt on your tank, decoy on your tank, and then watch all the enemies just attack them. And
that's smart because I put it on my healer so that person wouldn't die. But yeah, on my tank is much better because I have decoy now. So I just love that system where I realized, oh, it's the hunts where I get the green things. Cool. That's a incentive to do the hunt. Some of those green spells are really fucking handy.
yeah, they're
So
very utility based.
yeah. So I'm just enjoying. I'm enjoying it a lot more than Travis is. But I definitely see his criticisms. I'm finding interest in all the intricacies of the systems, even though I'm not diving too deeply into them. I do want to kind of get through the story and put this away. Only because I'm 43 hours in now and I'm ready for a different experience. But I've enjoyed it. It seems like one of the more
I had no
expansive Final
expectation that
Fantasies.
he would like this game.
No, yeah,
I actually wouldn't. I was like, no, you will not like this game at all.
no. But I'm enjoying it. But I do see his criticisms. I can see why. But for the most part, I think it seems like really expansive. Like I'm thinking about like Final Fantasy 15. Like I don't think there was a bunch of hidden shit like there is in 12. There's like a fuck ton of hidden shit in this game.
Yes,
Like
I mean, which is
unbelievable.
interesting for the fact that this is the second Well, if you consider X2 as being a PlayStation 2 game as well. But straight mainlines. The only second one was on the PS2, and Final Fantasy X. One of its main complaints and criticisms against it is it just didn't have big world exploration. It was very linear. You just go down paths, and you don't really go back to anywhere or can. You just follow the story. You just go on the path. Really, 13 did a lot of the same stuff, but people like 10 and don't like 13. But
I was reading something. What the fuck was I reading today? Where somebody was talking about. Oh, I wish I could recall this. It was about 10.
It was the rock paper shotgun thing.
Was it that? Yes, it was.
There's
You're
a little
right.
sidebar that if you like 10, you'll like 13. I'm like, no, you won't.
That was it. Yes.
I'm like, what is this person high on?
That was it. I was like, whoa, 13, really? Because people love 10 and people fucking hate 13.
Yeah, pretty much.
But that list also had, I was thinking about it more later, that list also had Assassin's Creed Valhalla as one of
I'm
50.
like, okay.
And I was like, no, that game is like one of the worst Assassin's Creeds I can think of.
I would put Odyssey on top of it.
Well, I'd put Odyssey above everything.
But even if you look at it from an RPG standpoint, Odyssey had much better RPG elements to it, mechanics, than Valhalla did to me.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a weird list.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the 13. So I think 12 went the other direction, was like, let's go back to that old school feeling of here, we don't have the weird scale change that the PlayStation 1s had for world map traversal. But it's just like, you can move around the entire world. Explore. That's what 12 wanted to get back to, and it does have that feeling of well, I can just go anywhere on this world, and I can also just run from any place in the world to another place in the world. It's kind of crazy in that regard, and I think that's why it took them so long to make this game.
Yeah, it does feel like, there are areas the Salika Wood where you go towards the bomb, which I never did. And there are areas, it feels like, buried inside of areas that you maybe never go to. But they spend a lot of time making them. And it's almost like Elden Ring, right? Where if you go, or even Baldur's Gate 3, we built shit, 3% of people are going to see it, but it's going to be fucking awesome for those 3% of people. So, yeah, lots to like, I think lots of things to criticize too, but I think partially a relic of its era, but still there's a lot of things to the pull forward on it. And I'm interested to play more of Unicorn Overlord to see how they've, progressed the Gambit system. Or if maybe they haven't, I don't know. But
a bit. It's lighter. Nothing has straight up taken the Gambit system.
Yeah.
Dragon Age Origins took it. Straight up.
Right.
Which, now thinking about that rock, paper, shotgun, why did they put Inquisition on there and not Dragon Age Origins?
I mean, why is Inquisition in number 6?
Yeah, I mean, replace that with Dragon Age Origins, and I would be like, okay, I can see that. Origins is really good.
Yeah, I mean, opinions.
But I'm like, not Inquisition.
No,
and
I'm sorry.
For the fact that Origins is not even in the list anywhere. That's weird to me. Yeah, that's a weird list. Okay. Moving on.
Very weird. Yes, indeed. Yeah. I think that's about it for me. What about you?
Cool. I'm good.
All good? Well, May is going to be something. We're going to get fucking news on some fucking event. PlayStation, Nintendo. Things are going to be happening in the next month, so looking forward to covering it. Here, unfortunately, you won't be here for the next 3 weeks. So I wish you the best of luck in Japan, and we'll hold down the fort here while you're gone, and hope everything goes well for you.
Thank you. I will be happy to share when I'm back.
Yes, looking very forward to it. All right, my friends. Well, thanks so much for listening to Prof and Dev Play Games. If you like us, please rate us on your podcast service of choice. We're back up on Patreon as well, Prof and Dev Play Games, and then streaming a little bit on our YouTube channel at Prof and Dev Play Games. And we'll be back next week. I will be back next week with Bill, and we'll be talking about, I don't know what. We haven't decided yet, so we'll see what it is, but it's probably going to be role-playing game related.
Nice.
All right. See you next week, folks.
Later, everyone.